Have you ever wondered why humans behave the way they do? The answer lies not just in our biology but deep within the recesses of our minds. Psychology, the study of the mind, offers intriguing insights into our actions, emotions, and thoughts. In this video, we'll uncover fascinating psychological facts about human behavior, brought to life through compelling, real-world stories. We will delve into the power of questions, the bystander effect, cognitive dissonance, the halo effect, and confirmation bias. So, are you ready to dive into the human mind? Imagine you're walking down a busy street and you see someone collapse. What do? You might think that the answer is obvious, that you'd rush to help. But the reality, as psychology tells us, is not so straightforward. Welcome to the world of the bystander effect, a fascinating and somewhat disconcerting psychological phenomenon. It suggests that we're less likely to help someone in distress when there are others around us. You see, we humans are social creatures, and we often look to others to gauge how we should react in certain situations. This is known as social proof, and it's a powerful force that can sometimes override our natural instincts to help. Let's dive into a real-life example to illustrate this: the infamous Kitty Genovese case. In 1964, Kitty, a young woman living in New York City, was attacked in her neighborhood. Tragically, despite her cries for help, no one came to her aid. Later investigations revealed that there were numerous people who heard her cries but no one intervened. This shocking incident spurred social psychologists to investigate, leading to the discovery of the bystander effect. So why does this happen? It's a combination of factors. First, there's diffusion of responsibility. This is the notion that the more people present, the less each individual feels personally responsible. Second, there's the fear of embarrassment. We worry about making a mistake or overreacting. Finally, there's the assumption that someone else will step in, a belief that can paralyze us into inaction. Understanding the bystander effect is crucial, not just for psychologists but for all of us. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that our instincts to help can be stifled by the presence of others. But knowledge is power, and by recognizing this phenomenon, we can strive to overcome it, to step up when others won't, and to be the change we wish to see in the world. So, the more people present, the less likely we are to help. A strange paradox, isn't it? Have you ever found yourself justifying a decision you regretted? Let's dive into an intriguing psychological phenomenon known as cognitive dissonance. This is the mental discomfort we experience when we hold two or more conflicting beliefs, ideas, or values at the same time. To understand this better, picture yourself in a store. You've just splurged on an outrageously expensive designer bag. A part of you is thrilled about the purchase, while another part is filled with regret for spending so much. This is where cognitive dissonance kicks in. You feel a sense of discomfort because of these conflicting feelings, the joy of acquiring something you've wanted, and the guilt of overspending. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Our minds don't like this discomfort and will go to great lengths to resolve it. And often, this resolution doesn't involve returning the bag. More often than not, you'll find yourself justifying the purchase. You might tell yourself, well, it's a classic piece, it will last for years. Or, I deserved a treat. Or even, I'll save money in other areas to make up for this. What you're doing here is changing your perception of the situation to ease the discomfort. You're reducing the dissonance between your action, buying the bag, and your attitude, feeling guilty about spending so much. This is cognitive dissonance in action. This phenomenon isn't just limited to shopping though, it applies to a whole range of situations where we find ourselves holding conflicting beliefs or attitudes. Whether it's about our health habits, our relationships, or our work decisions, we're constantly navigating and negotiating these internal conflicts. Cognitive dissonance theory, first proposed by social psychologist Leon Festinger in the mid-20th century, offers a fascinating lens to understand why we think and behave the way we do. It underscores the lengths we go to preserve our self-image and maintain internal consistency. So we humans have a knack for resolving our inner conflicts, even if it means changing our perceptions. Ever met someone who just seemed perfect at first glance? Well, that's the magic of the halo effect. It's a psychological occurrence where our overall impression of someone can influence how we feel about their character. It's like putting on rose-colored glasses and suddenly, everything about that person seems to shine. Let's take a celebrity as an example. Consider a Hollywood star who's known for their good looks. The public's perception of their attractiveness can often influence how they view the star's talent or personality. Suppose this celebrity is not only a gifted actor but also runs a charity organization. Because of their attractiveness, people may perceive them as kind-hearted and generous, even if they know nothing about their actual personality or how they run their charity. The halo effect doesn't stop at attractiveness. It can also stem from other positive traits like intelligence or charisma. If someone is perceived as intelligent, their ideas might be given more weight or considered more valuable, even if they're no more valid than anyone else's. This psychological phenomenon isn't limited to individuals. It can extend to products, brands, and even countries. It's why we might think that all products from a specific brand are high quality just because we had a good experience with one of their products. Or why we might assume that everything about a particular country is fantastic after enjoying a single vacation there. But it's important to remember that the halo effect can be misleading. It can cause us to overlook flaws or mistakes and make judgments based on superficial qualities. It's a reminder of how our perceptions can be skewed and how we often see what we want to see rather than what's truly there. So, what's the takeaway here? The halo effect teaches us that our perceptions and judgments are not always as objective as we might like to think, and it's a reminder to take a step back and look more deeply before forming an opinion. So, first impressions do matter, but they might also deceive us. Do you find it comforting when others agree with your views? It's a common sentiment, isn't it? That feeling of validation when someone else shares your perspective. But have you ever wondered why that is? It's because of something called the confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is a psychological phenomenon where we tend to favor information that confirms our existing beliefs. It's like having a filter in our minds that lets in all the evidence that supports our views and blocks out everything that contradicts them. This bias is so powerful that it can even influence how we interpret and remember information. Let's use a political issue as an example. Imagine you're firmly in favor of a certain policy. You've done your research, you've watched the debates, and you're convinced it's the right way forward. But then, someone presents you with a study that contradicts your view. Instead of considering this new information, you might find yourself dismissing it. Maybe you question the source, or perhaps you nitpick at the methodology. You're not necessarily doing this consciously, but your mind is finding ways to disregard this conflicting information. That's confirmation bias in action, and it's not just politics. We see confirmation bias in all aspects of life, whether it's about our favorite sports team, our dietary choices, or even our views on climate change. We tend to cling to the information that supports our beliefs and dismiss the rest. This bias can lead us to make decisions based on incomplete or inaccurate information. It can prevent us from seeing the full picture, from understanding different perspectives, but being aware of it is the first step towards overcoming it. So next time someone challenges your views, try to resist the urge to dismiss them outright. Consider their perspective, weigh the evidence, and remember that it's okay to change your mind. Knowledge and understanding are not static but ever evolving. So it seems we prefer comfort over truth when it comes to our beliefs. But perhaps, with a bit of self-awareness and open-mindedness, we can start to see beyond our biases. So, what have we discovered about our own behavior today? We've journeyed through the labyrinth of the human mind, touching on some intriguing elements of psychology that subtly, yet significantly, shape our actions. We began with the power of questions, highlighting how our curious minds are constantly seeking answers. Then, we delved into the bystander effect, examining how individuals are less likely to offer help to a victim when others are present. This fascinating phenomenon reminds us that our actions are often influenced by the behavior of those around us. From there, we explored the concept of cognitive dissonance, the discomfort we feel when holding two conflicting beliefs. This mental tension drives us to seek harmony in our thoughts, sometimes leading to surprising justifications or changes in our beliefs. Next, we looked at the halo effect, which demonstrated how our overall impression of a person can influence our thoughts and feelings about their character. This cognitive bias can lead us to make judgments based on superficial characteristics rather than a comprehensive understanding of the individual. Finally, we unpacked the confirmation bias, the tendency to favor information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. This bias highlights the importance of challenging our views and seeking diverse perspectives. Understanding these psychological facts helps us better comprehend ourselves and others. It sheds light on our biases, influences, and the intricate workings of our minds. Remember, understanding our behavior is the first step towards changing it. Until next time, keep exploring the mysteries of the human mind.